We are extremely proud to have the Wild Sheep Foundation as our title sponsor. They've been with us for a long time, and registration is now live for the 2025 Sheep Show, January 16th to 18th in Reno, Nevada. Register online today. Friday and Saturday night banquets will be sellouts. If you plan on attending these banquets, I strongly encourage you to register now. Go to wildsheepfoundation.org and don't forget to sign up or renew your less than one club membership. You know all about that event. You can win once-in-a-lifetime hunt. You can drink as much beer as you can handle, and you're going to have an amazing time. Again, go to wildsheepfoundation.org. I'll be sharing more details in the weeks to come, and we can't wait to return to the Wild Sheep Foundation's legendary Sheep Show in Reno, Nevada. This episode is also brought to you by Zoleo. If you're in the market for a new satellite communicator, we highly recommend Zoleo. You can get yourself one by going to Zoleo.com, that's Zoleo.com, or find a certified retailer near you. And last but not least, we're very excited to welcome back North Arm Knives. These guys have been with us for many, many years. Their knives have been with us on all of our hunts in the backcountry, on the lake, and in the kitchen. Get yourself a kick-ass blade today at NorthArmKnives.com. Hey guys, welcome to episode 167. Today on the show, we finally got Garrett on the podcast to tell the story about his elk. It's been a long time coming. It's a good one. I hope you enjoy it. We're sharing another hunting story at the end of this episode. And for those of you that don't know, what we're doing is asking you guys to submit hunting stories by email. You just have to write them out. And then I'm running them through some AI software, and they're being read on the podcast by a robot. And if you submit a hunting story to us, these are all going to go to North Arm Knives, and they're going to select a winner. And that's coming up quick here. I got to check in with those guys and get the first winner announced here within the next couple of weeks. So I'll keep you posted on that. But that's all you have to do to get yourself entered to win the blade of your choice from North Arm Knives. NorthArmKnives.com, our longtime sponsors and friends. And while we're talking sponsors, don't forget Sheep Show's coming up real soon. Go to wildsheepfoundation.org and also get yourself a Zoleo. Ours have been fantastic. We're not just saying that because they're a sponsor. They've been incredible. So Zoleo, Zoleo.com. But let's get into the episode. Sit back, relax, crack an ice cold beer, and enjoy episode 167. Gentlemen.
Mike, Kelly.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
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 Yeah, we always got to pretend like we haven't been talking for the last 10 minutes.
Are you sick, Mike?
I went to a concert last night, so my voice is all trash from talking loud and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But so Garrett, I was trying to keep it a secret, but people know you got an elk. They don't know the story. And gotta give the people what they want, man. We gotta tell the story.
Give the people what they want.
You gotta put some cheering background sounds in this too, as you said that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't. I mean, do you guys have? I guess I didn't really tell you guys much about it either, besides just sending you a few pictures, eh?
Yeah, because we were gonna do it at, around the campfire on the last night on the backpack trip, but we all know what happened there, so we didn't get to do it. So we haven't asked you anything.
Yeah, split up.
Yeah. So, I mean, you gave us a couple of details, but don't know anything about it.
Well, I know we had a couple spots in mind that we wanted to pre-scout. That's where we were going before hunting season kicked off in September. And I know, Mike, you got a chance to get out there and scout one of the areas.
Yeah.
And then you let the listeners know basically the findings of that, how that unfolded, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful, but not a great spot for hunting.
Yeah. So then I went out into the other spot to scout, and it didn't happen till hunting season because, life happens. Everyone's busy.
Yeah.
Stuff going on. So it was one of those opportunities where I got to go out. I mean, I wish you guys were there with me, but I got, with family and everything else that's going on, and the weather was changing like that first week and after September 10th, like the weather just was perfect in terms of changing, and it cooled down. And so I got a chance there to go out. So I loaded the truck up, and my parents were generous enough to let me use their ATV. So I loaded that up too. And I drove way out there in Timbuktu and went up scouting into that spot that we spoke of. And I basically rode as far as I could on the ATV, and then I parked it, and then I went into that area that we looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like the weather, everything just was working to my advantage. So I hiked into this area based on thinking the thermals were going to do what they do, in alpine country at specific time of the day, whether the sun's shining on it or it's not. So I had that wind checker, and I was just checking the wind nonstop going up there. And once I got to that, basically that pinnacle, there's like when I say pinnacle, there's a bit of a vantage point there where you can look down into the great big basin. So I was like, wow, that'd be prime for calling. So I waited before I hiked down in there. I waited until the thermals were right. And I just kind of got up there as early as I could. I mean, it took me forever to get in there, which is kind of stupid if you think about it. I was like, we talked about it before about shooting elk alone, or I was not anticipating seeing elk. Like I was not expecting to see basically anything. I was hoping to find signs so all of us could go back in there.
Yeah.
But I waited again till the wind was right. And then when it was, I went down there, and bugling has never worked for me. I don't know. I think I just suck at it, but I've never had good odds with bugling. I don't know if you guys have
I don't think you
tried it.
suck at it.
I've never had good luck with bugling. I don't know if it's because I'm not doing it at the right time or if I'm not bugling right. So I've just always fallen back on cow talking. That seems to always work for me.
I thought that you were bugling when we heard those elk a couple of years ago and had a shot at them, but a chance. But maybe that elk was bugling ahead of time and we were just trying to call it back to him.
No, you're right. I was bugling at it, but I think I was one of the moments there where it was like that elk was already bugling.
Mm.
And for which reason why he was bugling, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I think me and you just for fun like the three of us were like,
we were talking to him,
bugling back at it and see if he calls back. Yeah. And he did.
Which is, but we say it all the time, but that's like the coolest thing ever. Yeah. Mike and I traveled in there the year after, and I'm not good at bugling at all. I mean, I'll bugle like 3 times and I might hit a good one once, but they were answering back that time too. Remember that, Mike? They were like a ways off in the distance, but like you just hear these like they sound like dragons or something in the distance. It just puts your hair up. But
so I mean, but again though, like hearing them call back is killer. Knowing what to do after when they call back, that's always the question that I'm never quite sure. And people, you listen to all these people like Corey Jacobson and Cam Haynes and all these guys who are avid elk hunters and talk about calling, and Remy Warren, when to get aggressive and go after them and get in there. And I feel like when I bugle at them, it's either they take off or they go quiet, or I don't ever get the proper response that I'm looking for, as I do with cow talking. With cow talking, it's always seemed to work out. And I bring the bugle tube and I don't bugle into it. I just cow talk, and I'm using reeds. So I can make a whole bunch of different noises. Like I like to think that it sounds like a bunch of different cows talking. So that's always seemed to work for me. I've called in more elk just doing that. I've scared off more elk bugling at them. So I'm just like, well, I suck at this, so I might as well just cow talk. That's what I did. So anyways, I was up there on the top of that little knoll, and then I cow talked, and this bull elk, man, just started screaming at me. I was like, all right, sweet, there's a bull elk. So then I cow talked again. I moved closer. That's the other thing I learned, is that don't keep calling from the exact same location, because then they have you pinned down. So I kept moving. And as I kept cow talking and checking the wind, 2 more bulls sounded off. So there's 3 bulls in there. And then as I moved closer, I can hear the cows moving in and out of the woods. So there was a whole fucking herd of elk in there moving around. At that point, I'm like, well, I got to figure out where to be, because, you know, at any point, one of these cows is going to catch me working down and then blow out, and then the whole herd will take off like a stampede. And we've seen that before, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that once they have you figured out, then they're all gone. They move everybody out.
Yeah.
So
they
then
don't stick around like mule deer to look back. They just leave.
They just stampede out of there.
Yeah.
So you can imagine at this point, I got all this stuff going through my head. Like, when do I cow talk again? You know, when do I move? When is he moving? And I would hear him call back at me, and my heart would be pumping, and I'd move down closer. I'm thinking, oh crap, you know, is he still there? Did he catch my wind? Did he take off? Now I'm thinking, how close am I to him? Like, do I have an opportunity to shoot? Also, am I too far back here by myself to try to get this thing out of here? Like, all this crap's going through my head. Not a lot of windows to shoot, and it's got to be 6-point or better too. So I was in the deep woods there. It was thick timber. So like, you guys don't know what it's like. You know what it's like. Sorry, counting tines and thick brush. It's
stressful.
hard.
Yeah.
So all this stuff's going through my head, and it's fucking steep. So I'm working my way down there, and I'm cow talking the whole way, getting the odd response from this bull. Meanwhile, the other 2 bulls. So I'm like, one of these bulls has got to be legal. So as I made my way down, I just stopped at a certain point. I'm like, hey, I'm pretty close. That's when I sent you that clip of him bugling. I sent it to both of you guys. And he had to been like, geez, man, he had to been no more than 100 yards from me at that point, which is pretty loud when they bugle when they're that close.
Yeah, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of went quiet. I had to find a spot where, more or less, like, okay, I got a nice little shooting lane here. If he does come in, and then I can watch him. If he does, I can try to count the points, tines, see if he's legal. And then as I cow talk, it was quiet, but I could hear like the odd crack, him moving through the timber. I was like, oh, it could be him, or it could be, you know, sometimes squirrels make the loudest cracks.
Yeah.
You guys ever had that happen to you before when you're in the bush and it's like, fuck, it's a chipmunk.
I stalked a whitetail for like 2 hours one day, and it ended up being a squirrel hucking pine cones out of the tree. Because I followed the deer up there, but yeah.
Just your senses are so like heightened that everything was turning into an elk. Like, I'm just paranoid that the wind's going to shift. I'm checking it nonstop. So that's the other thing I've screwed up a lot too, is the wind. I mean, that you have no control over it, but your setup, I've gone in on them where the wind has shifted, and then they smell you, and then that's it. Like, they'll even like bark at you and then take off. I've had that happen. So just kept checking the wind. I kept cow talking, and then he didn't really, he kind of shut up there for a bit, and he was slowly making his way in. And then I caught a glimpse of him walking through the timber. I was like, oh, he's coming my way. I better get around cycled here, put the safety on. I put my binos up and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, that's a decent rack. And then he stepped through another little part, and I was like, oh, that's a really good rack. And then he kind of moved again through the timber, which is crazy hard to count points when they're moving. And then to my luck, he stopped in this little clearing, and I could see it. And I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I counted like 3, 4, 5, as many times as I could. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, you know. And then he started moving again. And I was like, oh, that was my opportunity to shoot him. And now it's gone. So he's moving through the timber again, and I know it's him. So I was like, what do I do? Like, I can't, I got nothing. I have to wait for him. So then I cow talked him again, and he turned around and he stepped out into this one last little opening, and I had to stand up, and off this little tiny like limb, had a shot at about 89 yards, and I hit him. And he kind of like, he hunched. You guys ever shot an animal? They do that kind of like they kind of hunch up.
Yeah.
So he did that, and then he stood there. I was like, cycle another round, get another one, like shoot again. So then I got another round in, boom, hit him again, and then he took off, and I was like, whew, like breathing hard, heart's pumping, holy, like, oh my God, what? I just got 2 shots off on a legal bull elk, like unreal. Like this, even think it was gonna happen. I didn't even think I was gonna even see anything. So I'm standing up there on this super steep mountain. My heart's pumping. And then this thing goes crashing down through the timber, down a little ways. I'm like, please don't run all the way down that ravine. That's going to suck. So now I'm waiting, right? I'm looking at my time, everything I've learned through the podcast and, listen to you guys and what we've researched. I'm looking where I am and where I shot. I'm like, okay, man. And when we shot the last elk, I was like, I don't think me and Kev waited long enough, which is, you never know, right?
Yeah.
You like, I have no idea. So I'm like, I'm going to wait a solid half hour. And I got to tell you, man, it took everything in me to not go running down in there. So as I'm waiting for this thing, I could hear like these huge crashes, like boom, just snap. I'm like, well, that's not a squirrel. That's the elk. And I bet that's the elk falling over. I'm like,
right.
Please be the elk falling over, like, basically dying. I hope. At that point, I'm like, I better sit still, like, cause the last thing I want to do is bump this elk, and then it runs down into this god awful ravine that I got to drag it out of. And at this point, I don't even need, like, I'm confident I made a really good shot, but there's that chance I didn't, right? So if I get an opportunity to shoot again, I want to make sure I don't screw it up. So I wait the full half hour. I go in there, I walk in as if I'm following the trajectory of my bullet, going the same direction as I shot, and then keeping a landmark behind me. So I pinpoint where I think I hit him. And then from there, fan out to see if I can find blood. And I remember you guys talking about this before too, like the different colors of blood, right? If you hit a major artery or organ.
Or lung,
or lung. So I'm scanning the area and I'm not seeing anything. So I'm like, oh God, missed. Couldn't have missed. Like he hunched up like that. And that's going through my head. Like I missed. No, I didn't miss. I know I hit him. I know my gun shoots really good. So I'm looking, I go one way and I'm like, oh, man, I missed him. This sucks. And then I double back and come back. I leave my pack there. So I'm like, hey, this is where I shot him. I go the other way. I'm like, oh, I'm not seeing anything, man. There's all the sign here is rubs and smells like a barn. Damn it. I'm not finding. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to grab my pack and I'm going to go straight down through this like little kind of depression. And then as I'm looking around, I'm like, fuck, man, I missed him. And I see one little spot of blood on the ground. I'm like, yes. Okay, I hit him. And then I look up and then I see his rack moving. I'm like, oh shit, he's right there. So then I quickly put in another round and then boom, I hit him again. That's it. No, it happened just that quickly. Shot him one more time, lights out, done. I walk up, of course, I'm like, all right, I know he's 6, so heart's pumping out of my chest. I'm like, yes, I got a 6-point bull elk. This is unreal. Like, holy crap, I never thought this was going to happen. And then you got all these emotions running through you as it happens. And they're such big, beautiful animals. Like they're huge, even aside from the size of their antlers, just the bodies on them. They're massive. So now I'm thinking like, okay, good. I shot a legal bull elk. This is great. Now I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I'm back here by myself. And I'm way back here by myself. And it's a good thing it's early in the morning. It's a good thing the temperature has changed and it's not plus 35 out. So I'm like, well, just better man up and get at it. So the best thing I could do was I pinpoint him with the Zoleo. That's what I did there. My location. And then I had to hike all the way back to where I had the ATV because I knew if I get on the ATV, I can get to another high point and get into cell range. Well, good enough, at least one bar where I could send a text. So that's what I did. I went back. Well, I should rewind. I took some pictures of the bull elk first before I hiked out. And then I went to the ATV and rode all the way out into cell service. And then, let my wife know. I let you guys know right away, and then let the family know. And then basically let my family know where I was at. And then they just kind of loaded up and drove somewhat close enough to me. And then as they were driving towards me, I hiked all the way back in there and just started breaking the elk down like we did, like we've done before, like what we've learned. I did the gutless method. I gutted that entire elk with that one knife, the lynx. I did the whole entire elk with that knife, gutted the whole thing, broke the entire thing down. And then I used those Argali game bags. You guys ever heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were fucking awesome. Really good. And I got to say, man, breaking down an elk by yourself is a grind.
Yeah, I would say so.
That was a holy man. And I thought I was against time here for the meat spoiling, but I got the whole thing broke down. I got the whole thing packed up and packed out of there. I think it took me just a little over 13 hours. So
crazy.
Once that was all done, man, I had, my parents finally showed up at where I had the ATV. So even my brother came up, he brought drinks and that. My dad helped me with a little bit of the last of the meat. Other than that, I got the whole thing out of there, got the whole meat back at the truck. And then I had my family there, which was super killer. That was awesome. Cool experience. Had a couple pops. I mean, just a round of high fives. And then got the meat back to a cooler. When the stars align, man, they align. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Because so many things could have gone wrong. And probably not the best of me to shoot something that far back, but stayed in shape, I knew what to do. I've learned so much. I basically, after, like you've said it before, you guys have both said it before, after the shot, you just kind of like, you go into that mode where you know what to do. Like it's go time.
Yeah, for sure. So you packed it all out bone in too, eh?
Yeah.
So
Stupid. I should have broke it down. But I was like, what it would take for me to debone.
When it's warm like that, sometimes it's easier just to, I don't know, it's kind of a coin toss, I guess, but break your back and get it out of there quicker or take your time out there and, be out there in the dark.
Well, that's what I didn't want to be up against.
Yeah, exactly.
It did help too that the elk was lying on a bank, right? Because I talked about how steep it was. So when I did start to open it up like a book, like the gutless method, I was able to take the hide and roll it back and basically use the backside of the hide as like a clean working surface so I can lay the meat down on top of it. Because even when I brought it into the cooler, the guy's like, holy cow, you barely got any like dirt or anything on this thing. You did a really good job keeping these clean. So, and then once that was done, man, it was a grind flipping the elk over. Holy, like I struggled hard trying to get that. Like once I got that front quarter and rear quarter, the back strap off the elk and the neck meat off that one side. And now I had to get the elk flipped over and do the other side. Holy fuck. I was sweating and struggling and prying and pulling just anything I could to try to move the thing over and flip them around. So, and I only cut myself once, so it was pretty good.
Oh yeah, you sent the photo of that too.
Oh, and I stabbed myself in the knee too there. I was trying to take pictures and I accidentally ran right into the antlers. Stabbed because my knee's still healing up.
Really?
Yeah.
Brutal.
But yeah, I think all dressed out, I got about 170, 180 pounds of dressed out meat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it was a slog. That night, man, I couldn't walk. It was a mess.
Bet. Yeah.
I was taking a lot of Advil. And those game bags were unreal. I mean, one I blew a hole through because I was so tired and I just chucked on the ground. I think it hit a stick or something like that and I blew a hole through the side.
Have you brought in the meat in to be processed or have you decided what you're going to do? Did you save any big cuts or anything?
So we did the back straps up, and we ate some stew not that long ago. My mom and dad made. They took potatoes out of the garden, carrots out of the garden.
Nice. Oh, sweet.
And then they did a big stew, which was unreal. And then everything else, a buddy from work, he told me what they do with their animals, and I kind of just copied what he did. He said, this is what they do, and it helps preserve the meat. So I got freezer paper from my local grocery store, and I bought those produce bags, those clear plastic bags from them. You've put apples, oranges, whatever in there, right?
Yeah.
He says, get those, put the meat in there, put them in like 5-pound chunks, like weigh them out in 5 pounds. So I cut all the meat up, got it all cleaned out. My old man and my brother and my father-in-law helped me with this. Cut them up, wrapped them in the produce bags, and then put them in freezer paper, and then did each one up into 5-pound section. Says that way they'll keep in the freezer. And then the price of pork right now is super high. So you can wait till the pork prices come down, and then you can kind of change up where your meat goes. You can put some here to this butcher or some over here.
Right.
So right now it's basically just all sitting in my freezer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've always done the kind of a similar thing, but just taking like saran wrap. I've got that giant thing of saran wrap. That was my dad's. That thing's been going for like 20 years. It's like a giant Costco one. And wrap the meat in that, like nice and tight, and then wrap it in butcher paper, and that's supposed to work really good, but same idea.
Yeah. I think that's kind of more or less what he says, as long as you get most of the air out of there and wrap it up tight, then because at that time, man, I'm so burnt out, and I'm still juggling, my kids and life.
Yeah.
So it's nice to not be like, shit, I got to run it to a butcher right away.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sitting there waiting, and then try to figure out what to do.
Plus, we were leaving like, a week and a half later or something. So you're getting ready to also leave for the hunt you were supposed to be scouting for, not killing an elk.
Yeah, I know. Well, you guys had elk tags, had deer tags, and a bear tag. So
yeah.
Yeah, what a killer experience, man. Would have been awesome if you guys were there. I really wish that we could all do it together.
Yeah.
It'll happen again. You just never know what to expect when you go out in the bush hunting.
Yeah. You got to put your lure in the water.
That's exactly it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nice that your folks made the drive. It's a jaunt too to get there.
Yeah.
So somebody was there to hang out.
And my brother too. Like he had the day off, and just to take that last final pack load out of the woods, and there they are.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Pumping my tires up. I was like, right on. That's awesome. Rather than me thinking there's grizzly bears waiting for me at the end of fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. My thought was, wicked. Garrett got an elk. And then my second thought was, Garrett's not going to come on this hunt now.
Yeah. We're worried about that.
Yeah. Even my wife made the joke. She's like, so now you're done for the season. Hey, you don't have to go back out hunting. And I just started laughing. She started laughing. Yeah.
Nice. Well, congrats, man. That's awesome. That's
nice work.
A huge achievement to do all that on your own and only cut yourself once and not fucking destroy your back.
Oh, fuck. I cut myself good too. Jeez. We talked previously about lighting up our packs.
Yeah.
I didn't have any fucking Band-Aids either.
Oh, no.
I just wrapped like electrician's tape around it or whatever I had. Tape.
Jesus.
I think I had a little rag and I tied it on there. Man, I sliced myself good. And it was that same mistake, man. Just going fast with the knife.
Yeah.
That's always the most dangerous part, man. I say it all the time. We started doing like a little safety moment. Like, remember the moose, Mike?
Yeah.
We just did like because your adrenaline's through the roof and you just got to get at it, right? So like I remember for the moose, we had 4 guys. So we assigned 2 of them to the moose, 2 of them to not deal with that part of it. They were doing other stuff. And then, to just take a break and like have a bit of a safety moment about the knives before everybody starts slinging them.
Yeah, everybody's like eager to get in there, right? But you don't need 4 knives slinging around. So I took the front, Kelly took the back, and they were transporting it all out of there, which I think they were quite happy to do that part of the job while we cut it all up and dragged it out of there. Yeah.
But yeah, you almost need that space of like, you're just in a different state of mind when all that goes down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you don't even realize it, but
There's there's time pressures and everything
Yeah.
like that. And, bears.
yeah. Or just the come down of like what has
Yeah.
occurred, like
Yeah. For sure.
a lot of excitement for sure.
Well, you nailed it. Like, I wish I could have sat there more and just taken it all in. But all that stuff you guys are talking about was going through my head. I'm like, nighttime's coming. I'm by myself. It's grizzly country.
Yeah,
I got to get this fucking thing out of here. Like now.
totally.
You know, the knife did unreal. It's always the hide that dulls it. Like every knife I've had, once you start cutting through that hide, that's when you got to keep sharpening. But once I got the back of it, like the hide cut right down the back, then it was clear sailing. That thing,
Yeah.
I was going to town on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. You guys want to wrap this one up with a hunting story?
Sure. Another one.
Oh man, we got tons. I've got a whole folder just full of them. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, I also mean like we just had a good one. Now we're gonna add another.
oh
one
yeah,
on, so.
yeah. I want to get the name of this one.
But
So
yeah,
this one,
I have seen sorry to cut you off. I have seen the emails and there's a ton of them. I see you flagged them all. So
yeah,
it's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
I've got. I think I've got all of them kind of recorded. Actually, another one came in today that I need to do. But anyway, this one's. I'm trying to read the title of the. Let's see, what did he call it? This one. So it came from Dave, and he said the title of it is "The Hardest Way to Put a Meal on the Table." So this is a good one. Play it.
Every year, we do a memorial hunt on my dad's birthday. We have a few rules. First, we drive up to where he spread his ashes, which is prime area for grouse and moose. Second, Mom is coming, and we can only use her special gun. Yep, the single-shot .20 gauge that he bought her when they were dating. She never actually used it. But both me and my daughter learned to shoot birds with it, so it is part of the family. Finally, we are going to eat and drink red wine when we get there. Ideally, we will have shot some grouse first, so we have something to eat. Mom is in her 80s and may not move quite as fast as she used to. She never actually hunted, but she has cooked what Dad brought home since the 60s. So she knows what to do once we get the critters. She also expects we are going to have a decent lunch, so I have the back of the truck filled with gear. We are going to have a proper lunch with tables, chairs, stoves, coolers, and all the bells and whistles. We are truck hunting, damn it, and we are going to enjoy the luxury. If you are expecting a hardcore, pack in adventure. This is not the story to find it in. This year, we headed out, and after about 90 minutes, we have hit dirt roads, and a nice roughie was sitting on the edge of the trees, looking at us. I step out and shoot it. It goes over, but is flapping like crazy, as they do. I go grab it by the neck and give it a good squeeze. This is what I normally do. Send it to grouse heaven a bit faster. Sure, I am killing it twice. But sometimes your shot is not perfect. I throw it in the back of the canopy, in the one spot that is not filled with camping gear. Things are unfolding as they should. We are going to have something proper for lunch, not just Costco granola bars. A while later, there is another one. We don't see it till pretty late, and I stop too close. But that just means Mom has a great view. I shoot it, and it does a spectacular flight into the air, over a big drop-off, then right back to Mom's side of the truck and crashes down next to her. She rolls down the window and starts laughing and giving me directions on where to get the bird. All good. This is what family hunts are about. I grab it and head to the back of the truck. I open up the canopy and start to throw it in, only to stop and quickly close the door. Standing in the back of the canopy, on top of all the gear, staring at me with that look only a nervous grouse can do, is a very alive roughie. I go get Mom, telling her to peek in. She sees the grouse staring at us from the back of the truck and starts laughing. She says, "I thought you had already shot that one." I open the canopy and drop the tailgate, climbing into the very packed truck. I say, "Mom, close the tailgate behind me." She says, "I don't know if I can." I say, "Well, you better, 'cause this bird might get past me." She laughs some more and shows that even in her 80s, she has strength in her arms. Now I am jammed in the back of the truck with all the gear and a grouse that does not want to come see me. I wiggle around and it runs around. I try and grab it, and it tries to stay as far away from me as it can get. The cooler is sticking in my belly, and the lawn chairs are creating places for it to hide, but eventually I grab it and kill it for the third time. And of course, as it had been shot, as it ran around, we got blood all over the gear. Lunch that day was good, and we enjoyed those 2 roughies. Chopped up, dredged in flour, the fried with a soya sauce, marine and sake sauce, with some potatoes from Mom's garden. We raised a glass of red wine to Dad, who we were pretty sure was still laughing his butt off at the sight of me having to kill our lunch 3 times before we could finally cook it.
There you go.
That's awesome.
That's a good one.
I love how these people who write in are so honest about their stories too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, right down to the details. It's awesome.
I think I know what I'm getting briefed for next birthday present.
20 gauge.
Yeah. Don't tell, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
I love the ownership of the truck hunt there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. And,
Absolutely.
you know, sometimes a good old fashioned truck hunt is what's
Man,
required.
Sometimes just grouse hunting is just my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fun. Anyone can go out and do it. It doesn't take a lot of prep or anything, you know?
Yeah.
You just huck a cooler and a 22 in the truck and good to go.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Cool, man. Well, should we wrap it up?
Sounds good.
Until next time.
Yeah. Congrats on the elk, Garrett.
Right on,
Congrats,
boys.
Garrett.
Thanks. Feels good.
Can we
Cheers.
put a little photo of this elk up there now?
No.
Not.
Absolutely not. Yeah, of course.
There you go, guys. Episode 167. If you want to submit a hunting story, we're just going to keep this going for as long as you guys keep sending them. And we'll be giving a blade away every 2 months. So all you have to do is send those into info@therookihunter.com. And we are going to play all of them. If you haven't heard yours yet, don't worry. It's sitting in a folder waiting to be played on a future episode. We've got one queued up for the next episode already got that one recorded and in the can. So stay tuned. But hope you guys are having a wicked season. And we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.